Today, I'm going to talk about some simple and repeatable concepts that can make a big difference in your paintings. These are things that I wish I had known years ago in my painting, and they would have saved me a lot of time. So if you can adopt even one of these into your painting practice, it'll make a big difference for you. The first thing that I wish I had known way back was to minimize the background. The background is a tricky part in the painting. When we are looking at our reference, when we're looking at a photograph, we can see so many details in the background. The problem is we want to include those in the scene, and when we do that, it can really detract from the most important area of the painting. So what we want to do is minimize the background. We want to have less texture in the background. We want to have more soft edges and really minimize and simplify the information that we are including. Now, if you take a look at this reference photo here, you can see behind this barn, we have some hills with some trees. The temptation is to paint all of that texture and information into our scene, but we want to minimize that background to not detract or take away from the most important parts of the painting. I really wanted a soft and loose background to just imply some of that information back here and keep the most important information here in the middle ground. So I painted the background largely in my first wash, wet into wet. And then when I got to the trees that were a little closer to the barn, I introduced some texture, some more dry brush, more branches. And in doing that, it allows the viewer to really live in the middle part of this painting, and that is very important. Here's a scene I did of this guy raking some leaves. Now, I really wanted to have him be the star of the show, but also just the light and the atmosphere of this scene. Now, when you look at the reference photo to this, you can see just how much information there is. All of these different leaves here, all the different shades and textures, and then in the background we have even more of the same. More texture, more branches, a lot of information back there. So what I chose to do was really squint at that when I was painting it and create an impression, very loose and simple in the background. And this is what that looked like, because I wanted the focus to stay right here. If I had included all of this texture, the painting would have quickly become overworked. And here's another example from my neighborhood, actually. This was a scene in the fall, and I just loved the light. The light was just what drew me to this painting. And I wanted to get that feeling of light with the shadows sweeping across the road. But if I had included all of the texture and information from these trees, it quickly would have become an overworked mess. So I chose a very minimal approach, focusing on the light here and letting those shadows sweep across the road. So the next time you're painting a scene, really minimize that background, simplify the information, and watch how clear and how much more focused your paintings will become. The second thing I wish I had known when I was getting started was to focus your painting. Now this goes hand in hand with minimizing the background. We want to have the most contrast, the most saturation, the most texture in the middle ground, in the focal area of the painting, wherever your focal area is. And I call it a focal area rather than a focal point. There's not always just one single point in the painting that is the most interesting, the most compelling, where you want the viewer's eye to go. Generally for me, it's an area, and it typically lies within the middle ground. So what you want to do is preserve your strongest contrast, your strongest colors, the most information for that area of the painting. One way that's helpful to do this is to get your painting to about 80 or 90% and then take a break. After we have been painting and thinking for so long, when we are finishing the painting, that is a crucial part of the process. That's when it becomes really easy to make a mistake that we can't take back. And so I always tell students, and I try to practice this myself, get your painting mostly finished and then come back a little bit later when you're fresh and see if you need to add anything else. See if you need to clarify your focal area at all. Do you need to add any more contrast? Do you need to add a little wash of color to help focus this area? Taking these extra steps can help focus your painting. And what happens when you have a focused painting is your viewer knows exactly what's important. They know exactly where they should look in the scene. They're not distracted by too much information everywhere else around the painting. This is a book by Skip Lawrence called Painting Light and Shadow in Watercolor. And it's a very good book. It talks about combining shapes to find the large shape of the scene and a lot of things that you probably hear me touching on in my videos. And I actually made a video about this book that you can see here. Now, here he's talking about the focal area, and he says, when painting the focal point, look at the focal point. When painting everything else, continue to look at the focal point. And he is quoting here. I'm not sure who said that originally, but that is a great thing to keep in mind. And he's not saying to literally look at the focal area when you're painting everything else, but he's saying to keep that area in mind when you're painting the rest of the scene. So the background, the other areas of the middle ground, and the foreground, we want to be mindful of not taking too much attention away from the focal area and distracting the viewer. We want to clarify our painting by really focusing in that focal area that is so important. Here is a winter scene that I painted, and I really liked how this painting turned out. And I think that one of the main reasons I like this scene so much is that it is very focused. You see how I really minimized what's going on in the background trees? That allows this tree here with more contrast to really bring that area closer to us. And by minimizing a lot of information in the foreground and in the background, I can keep the viewer's attention right here. Also, it helps that there's a guy wearing a red coat here that really helps to focus the painting and lock in this middle ground as a very important area. Here's another scene. Here I used the most color, this vibrant yellow boat and this blue boat here, and had minimal color in other areas of the painting, really downplaying the rest of the scene to allow the focus and attention to live right in here in the middle ground of the painting. I could have got way more into the details of all the information here in the background hill, especially in this foreground where it would have been very tempting to overwork this and add all the little bits of rocks and things in the foreground. But what happens when you do that is that's exactly where the viewer's eye is going to go, is right in that area. By focusing your painting, having the most saturation and contrast, and by minimizing other areas of your scene, you can create a very powerful and clear painting. And before I jump into point number 3, if you are new to my videos or my way of painting, check out my free watercolor guide. It's down in the description below. It's a helpful free resource, and I touch on some of the things in this video in that guide, so take a look at that if you haven't already. The third thing that I wish I had known when I was getting started is to plan and be selective. Watercolor is not a super forgiving medium. It can't be corrected in ways that other mediums can, and the more that you can plan before you touch your brush to your paper, the better off that you're going to be. Now, this could be things like value studies or a quick little thumbnail sketch. But another thing that's important to do is to look at the reference photo and to note what attracted you to the scene in the first place. Why do you want to paint this scene? Think about that a little bit. It might be the light on the side of a building. It could be a figure walking down the street. It could be a number of things. But think about what attracted you to the scene and what is interesting about this. Then you want to plan your painting accordingly. Use the things that we just talked about to focus your painting and highlight that specifically. And like I mentioned, doing a value study is a great way to plan your scene. This will help you understand the value structure of your painting and also the big shapes of the scene. And these are the building blocks of a strong painting. So many times details get all the credit, you know, the figures or the cars in a street scene or something like that. But what really makes a painting work are the values and the shapes of the scene. Working those things out through a value study, a thumbnail sketch, that will help you have an incredible leap forward in your work. Also doing color studies. Don't wait till you get into your painting to practice mixing something that you aren't sure about, right? So before you jump into the scene, think through, are there any question marks? Are there any problems I could potentially work out ahead of time before I start painting? Planning is so important, and it's even something now that I hope to be better at and work more into my practice. And the other part of this point is to be selective. Remember, you are the artist. Be selective in the subjects that you choose. Be selective in what you include in your painting and what you leave out. If there's something that looks weird in the reference photo or is distracting, just leave it out. I see a lot of times, when I was early on in my process, and students that I work with now, they want to include everything in the photo in their painting. There's a real strength in simplicity. When you clarify your scene, when you really think about what the main point is and you keep it the main point throughout, that's very important. So those are my 3 things I wish I had known when I was getting started. Minimize the background, focus the painting, have a plan, and be selective. If you can adopt even one of these practices, it will make a big difference in your paintings. And I mentioned this earlier, but if you're looking for a free resource, take a look at this. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You could print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.